Hey everybody, happy Friday. My tip of the week is kind of sharing a little bit of an exciting experience that I went through this past week. It goes back to what I talked to you about at the Synergy session for Paul's Take 5. And what I challenged all of you to is to do one random act of kindness a week, just to kind of do something that gets you out of your box a little bit, whether it could be opening up the door for somebody, whether it could be holding the door at the convenience store, whatever it is. Just do something that normally you got your blinders on and you're not thinking and you're not aware what's going on around you, but just doing something to reach out to somebody, okay? And so I want to share a little story with you. So I was at the Menards, picked up some materials for a new listing of mine, pulled out of Menards, and I'm getting ready to take a left on Main Street at Riverdale development there. And at the median is a young gentleman there with a sign held up that says, "We'll work for food." And I never, ever do it. I never stop, roll down my window, give them money, check and see how they're doing, tell them I'm praying for them, whatever it is. I never do that. I get the blinders on because I've heard those stories. You probably heard also that, oh my gosh, they make all this money and they actually have full-time jobs, or, you hear all this kind of stuff about it. You think it's a racket and stuff like that. But I looked in the eyes of this young man and I could tell he was maybe, late teens to early 20s and stuff like that. And he just had a lost look in his eyes. And so I was next to him. I rolled down my window and I said, "Hey, buddy, how are you doing?" And he said, "I'm okay." And I said, "No, really, how are you doing?" And he said, "Well," he goes, I am homeless and I need a place." And I said, "Okay, so what's that look like? What have you been doing?" And I keep in mind, I'm at a red light. I got cars behind me and everything else, so got to go kind of quick, right? And he said, "Well, I'm on a waiting list for Hope for Youth and trying to get a bed." And I said, "Oh, at the Hope Place?" And he goes, "Yeah, you know about it?" And I go, "Yeah, I kind of built that." Told him real quickly, I said my background with Hope for Youth. I was one of the original founding members of Hope for Youth. And I said, "Okay, well," I said, "I can maybe see what I can do with that for you. What's your name?" He said his name is Brandon. Told him my name and stuff like that. Now I knew that the intersection was going to be opening up and I was going to have to go pretty quick and stuff. And I said, "Okay, I got one thing." I go, "If I'm going to reach out and try to help you," I said, "I want you to make me a promise." And I said, "That's no drugs, no alcohol. If you're going to get yourself straight, if you're going to get yourself back on track, you have to have a clean head in order to do that. So you've got to promise me that." He goes, "I absolutely promise that." He goes, "I've not done drugs since high school." I said, "Good. Okay." I said, "Need you on a clean head. You can get your head clean, right?" So I reached out to Hope for Youth. Obviously, I got some connections at Hope for Youth and stuff like that. And they go, "Yeah, we do have an application." And they said, "Do you want to give him an elevator speech? Do you want to, do a shout out to him?" And so I sent over an email with kind of what my experience was at. And like I said, I just saw the look in his eyes, right? I had a calling from God who told me, "Roll down your window and help this kid," right? Help him out and stuff like that. So process has started. I'll let you know an update. Hopefully we can get him into Hope Place very, very, very soon. Unfortunately, it was so quick. I didn't have a last name. I don't have a phone number for him or anything like that. But Hope for Youth has that. So I started the process with them. So this is not a pat in the back to me whatsoever. This is just a way I wanted to let you know what I've done for Random Acts of Kindness. I'm not stopping at that one for this week. I'm going to continue to do that. And I challenge you to do the same. Let's help each other make this world a little better place, right? So that's my tip. Challenge you to do the exact same, okay? Share with me what you have done and what your random act of kindness and what turned out with that, okay? Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.